Welcome to Bat, Beep, Crazy. Who would have thought, huh? It's like a fairy tale. An opposition party struggling to unite. The Democrats lost and without hope. Until... Drumroll, please. Enter Mahmoud Khalil. Yeah, the pro-terror Colombian student. What a hero. Their new passion project. A man capable of bringing calm to the chaos, unity to the divided, a saviour able to stir passion and energy in a Democratic Party that couldn't manage a whimper re genuine atrocities over the past 18 months. At least Elon Musk might get a little respite this week.
Nobody voted for Elon Musk.
My gosh, Tesla Cybertruck is on fire.
Not another billionaire! What the?
What can I do for you?
Fuck you!
Elon Musk is a Nazi!
And maybe not, but still this could be a game changer. If biological males in women's sports weren't a compelling enough issue for them to go all in on, then this bloke should really do it. What a way to bring Americans back into the Democratic fold. Senator Mike Gianaris with this powerful take. Yanking a US permanent resident away from his 8 months pregnant wife and disappearing him so that even his lawyer can't find him is straight up tyranny. Where do I start? Maybe at the end. Tyranny, defined as a state under cruel and oppressive government. So Gaza, under the rule of Hamas, clearly. And yanking a man away from his 8 months pregnant wife. Are you insane? The terrorists he idolised and promotes publicly yanked women and babies away from their beds and slaughtered them. I know which yanking I'd rather. His American wife, through a lawyer, made a public statement demanding his release. Take a look.
My husband was kidnapped from our home.
Hold me back. It's almost too easy.
And I will be reading a statement on behalf of Mahmoud Khalil's wife, who does not wish to be named.
Oh no, I wouldn't want to be named either if he was my husband.
And it's shameful that the United States government continues to hold him because he stood for the rights and lives of his people.
No, he didn't. He stood for the destruction and death of Jews and Americans, in fact, the entire Western civilization. And the only shameful aspect of all of this is that it didn't happen sooner.
I demand his immediate release and return to our family.
Oh, good one. Yeah, I get it. Bizarre, though, because given he was completely comfortable with thousands of other people not being afforded that same right, and I'm talking about going home to their families. And yeah, the lucky hostages, even in Gaza, not the people that his idols slaughtered. So, yeah.
His disappearance has devastated our lives. Every day without him is filled with uncertainty, not just for me, but for our entire family and community. Our loved ones are struggling with the pain and fear of his sudden absence.
Gosh. If only there was a group of people right now who could offer you some support and relate directly to that feeling. Mind you, uncertainty was almost a blessing in some situations for the families of Jewish and Israeli victims of Hamas. For the most part, they knew they were dead. They were certain. If they were really lucky, they could watch the killing of their loved one on the terrorists' own cameras as they gleefully filmed, but, you know,
And yet, we are not alone.
Thank you. Finally, some awareness.
So many who know and love Mahmoud have come together, refusing to stay silent.
Of course. Too good to be true. What she means here, of course, is the Democrats, his new family. You know, those noble steeds like Chuck Schumer. who gave Kamala's word salad queen title a run for its money in his attempt to stand with Mr., as he called him, Khalil, urging the Trump administration to drop their, quote, wrong-headed action. Isn't he Jewish?
Schumer is a Palestinian as far as I'm concerned. You know, he's become a Palestinian. He used to be Jewish. He's not Jewish anymore. He's a Palestinian.
Ah, right. Thank you, Mr. President. Got you. I mean, for those confused, and believe you me, if you're not confused, you're far smarter than I am, let's do a little recap. The Democratic Party of the United States of America has adopted Mahmoud Khalil as its new poster child, the hill they're now willing to die on. I mean, clearly make room for the destruction of electric vehicles and men playing in women's sports, but those three combined, wow. That campaign for 2028, it writes itself. Actually, even better. Maybe Khalil could take leadership on at the Democratic Party. You guys are looking around. If you can help him stay, make him leader. No wonder they've adopted him. Now it's making sense. The bloke publicly fights for Hamas. He's obsessed with the destruction of America. And he and his supporters are trying to blame everyone else rather than look within and accept responsibility for their own atrocious actions. He is, ladies and gentlemen, a Democrat. And this, my dear friends, is a Republican.
When you come to the United States as a visitor, which is what a visa is, which is how this individual entered this country, as on a visitor's visa, okay, you are here as a visitor. We can deny you that visa. We can deny you that if you tell us when you apply, hi, I'm trying to get into the United States on a student visa. I am a big supporter of Hamas, a murderous, barbaric group that kidnaps children, that rapes teenage girls, that takes hostages, that allows them to die in captivity, that returns more bodies than live hostages. If you tell us that you are in favor of a group like this, and if you tell us when you apply for your visa, and by the way, I intend to come to your country as a student, and rile up all kinds of anti-Jewish student, anti-Semitic activities. I intend to shut down your universities. If you told us all these things when you applied for a visa, we would deny your visa. I hope we would. If you actually end up doing that, once you're in this country on such a visa, we will revoke it. And if you end up having a green card, not citizenship, but a green card as a result of that visa while you're here in those activities, we're going to kick you out. It's as simple as that. This is not about free speech. This is about people that don't have a right to be in the United States to begin with. No one has a right to a student visa. No one has a right to a green card, by the way. So when you apply for a student visa, or any visa to enter the United States, we have a right to deny you for virtually any reason. But I think being a supporter of Hamas and coming into our universities and turning them upside down and being complicit in what are clearly crimes of vandalization, complicit in shutting down learning institutions. There are kids at these schools that can't go to class. You pay all this money to these high-priced schools that are supposed to be of great esteem, and you can't even go to class. You're afraid to go to class because these lunatics are running around with covers on their face, screaming terrifying things. If you told us that's what you intended to do when you came to America, we would have never let you in. And if you do it once you get in, we're going to revoke it and kick you out.
Gee, tough choice for the American people there. On equal footing with the Democrats are upstanding human rights bodies. Imagine if they all dedicated as much time and effort into getting the hostages released as they've put into trying to get aid and electricity back into Gaza this week. It beggars belief. Amnesty. Israel's decision to cut off electricity. It has also been 10 days, says the UN. The Red Cross. They don't say a word why any of this is happening. Not a peep about what caused this entire sorry saga. Nah, just the Israel is evil and Gaza is under attack narrative. Yawn. I mean, I'm bored of saying it. I can only assume you're bored of listening to it, but here we go again. There are innocent hostages still held captive in Gaza, a place run by terrorists. Every second of your time should be focused on getting those people out and home, because once that's done, Gaza can have all the aid and electricity in the world it wants. Oh, and side note, you could also help rid the world of Hamas. Not for Israel, we know you don't care about them, but for those people in Gaza you seem to care so deeply about. They suffer more than anyone living under terrorist rule. You just conveniently ignore that fact repeatedly. Your weakness and agenda-driven objectives to not save the world but destroy Israel only prolongs the suffering of everyone. Because newsflash, Israel is not going anywhere, nor are Jews. They've had far greater forces than you try to destroy them. Take a ticket, get in line, you'll be waiting a while. Gays for Gaza. Must be feeling a little silly right now. I mean, they should have been feeling utterly ridiculous from the get-go. But if not, then definitely by now. The Palestinian Authority newspaper has written a piece, and I wouldn't exactly describe it as a love letter to these lefty loonies. In fact, it's the complete opposite. They've described homosexuality as crazed, that its existence overturns the values of human societies and has twisted components. That's awkward, isn't it? It's okay. There's not much footage of you all on the internet.
No more money for Israel's crimes. Not another nickel, not another dime. Not another
You can go to Palestine and see how they treat you there. They're not like gay people. If they'll throw you off a fucking bridge. People who hate you, who would burn you to death and use you as an example.
So, it's okay, we can salvage. Put your rainbow banners down, take off your kefirs, and be like Homer.
Oh, okay.
No one will remember. I promise. You might remember my preview of this from a couple of weeks back, though, the Understanding Hamas and Why It Matters event. Well, it went ahead this week, for some weird reason. I assumed my 10-second summation could have saved everyone involved and those planning to attend the time and effort. But alas, ineffective, despite it making so much sense. Here it is again. Look, you got the title right, I guess. It is important to understand Hamas and why that matters. So let me help you out and the people who might have been considering going, just save them some time. Hamas are terrorists. This matters because if you encounter them, they'll likely kill you. End of session. Class dismissed. P.S. I'm very happy for the London School of Terrorism, economics, to use this clip moving forward free of charge. Senator Alyssa Slotkin, who delivered the reply to Donald Trump's address for the Democrats last week, well, she's found herself amongst friends on, where else? The View. What a surprise. Who would have thought? And thank goodness she did too. Otherwise, the world would never have woken up to the fact that no one in America really likes Trump or was smart enough to realise he was the better choice at the election. They are just sulky teenage idiots without fully formed brains.
To me, again, representing a state where people voted for Trump and voted for me, I have responsibility to represent my entire state. Mm-hmm. But I don't think there's anyone who feels like what's going on right now is normal, even if you voted for Trump, mm-hmm. right? I think there's a feeling in the country. Yeah. I mean, I often say this, we're about to turn 250 years old, mm-hmm. right? We're still pretty young for a country. These are our our angry teenage years, right? We are going through this push and pull where we're happy, we're sad, we want this, we want that. And what do you do when you have a teenager who's threatening themselves and others? You just try to get them through this period alive so that their brain can fully form and you can come back to kind of what a country.
Talking about Trump?
No, I'm talking about our country. We're pendulum swinging. We're pendulum swinging.
Future historians and scholars have just been booted out of a job. What's there to study when Senator Slotkin has already so cleverly figured it out? Actually, there could be a real contest for the vacant leadership position now. Slotkin might give Mahmoud Khalil a real run for his money. Or they could both apply for Antonio Guterres' job at the UN. Now, I was shocked to see this from the head of the United Nations on X. I am intensifying our UN reform efforts by launching the UN80 initiative to make proposals, including in 3 areas: efficiencies and improvements in the way we work, review of the implementation of our mandate. He finished with, we need an even stronger and more effective United Nations that delivers for people and is tuned to the 21st century. Antonio, even stronger and more effective implies wrongly that you are already certain degrees of both. You aren't. Review implementation of your mandate? Are you kidding? Here's a quick review. you are not implementing your mandate, unless your mandate has changed to destroy Israel and support terror. If it has, then nailing it. Looking to be more efficient, I mean, you could sell some of those buildings you used to keep hostages in. And how can I not make reference to International Women's Day? What an occasion. What a deep, special day. What a joke is more accurate. Guterres also took to X, he was busy this week, wasn't he, to share a heartwarming and inspiring post, urging all those around the world who care about equality for women and girls to stand up and speak out. I've got an idea. Little bit left of centre, I know. Antonio, why don't you start? There's a hell of a lot of women suffering right now because of terrorism. And yes, I know it might be a little awkward and a little too close to home for you given the involvement of some of your employees and infrastructure in this terrorism, but we promise we will not judge if you just come out and stand for all women impacted. Yes, I know you won't, because, well, Israel. So you'll continue to be rightly judged as an appalling human being who ruined any credibility the UN might once have had. Now, this caught my eye. Breaking. Comedian John Cleese to perform 3 shows in Israel this June. With the attachment. Shame on John Cleese for standing with the terrorist Israel. John, my take differs slightly, unsurprisingly to regular viewers. Thank you for, well, not standing necessarily with Israel, but for going. I mean, since when did performing a comedy show in a country equate to standing with them? That in and of itself is utterly ridiculous. I'm going to Canada this week for 3 speaking events, so I now stand with them and their ridiculous government? Hell no. Stop trying to shame people publicly and bully them into submission. It is cowardly and weak and it won't work. And as John Cleese would say, and yes, this is directly to you, at you, and for you.
You snobs! You stupid, stuck-up, toffee-nosed, half-witted, upper-class piles of pots!
It is one of my favourite shows. I can quote every episode back to front 10 times over. It's divine. If you're an American and you're not overly familiar with it, do yourself a favour. Watch. And look, it was tempting to end on that because it's very hard to follow Basil Fawlty, but I had to include the great Tom Homan for nothing other than this. Now you try and tell me that apples aren't the new weapon in the war on woke. How the hell is that action so powerful? Oh, and please, yelling yaks, yes, legal, law-abiding immigrants are welcome. Tom agrees too. He's just ridding your country of the illegal ones. It's a significant point conveniently left out. But back to the apple, because this is, I can't get over it. I can't stop watching. Canada's Pierre, well, he kicked it all off. Take a look.
Okay. On the topic, I mean, in terms of your sort of strategy currently, you're obviously taking the populist pathway.
What does that mean?
Well, appealing to people's more emotional levels, I would guess. I mean, certainly you tap very strong ideological language quite frequently.
Like what?
Left wing, this and that, right wing. I mean, it's that type of ideological thing.
I never really talk about left or right.
Anyways, I don't
really believe in that.
Okay, a lot of people would say that you're simply taking a page out of the Donald Trump book.
Like which people would say that?
Well, I'm sure a great many Canadians, but
like who?
I don't know who, but
well, you're the one who asked the question, so yeah. You must know somebody.
Okay, I'm sure there's some out there, but anyways, the point of this question.
I mean, in Australia, we are, well, they say we're a little bit behind. We're not always. In fact, I think here we were a front. Because our Prime Minister, former Tony Abbott, did an onion.
He bit into a raw onion last week.
vision of the Prime Minister eating the vegetable, complete with skin, has been shown in Australia and abroad.
Not quite as effective, but points for trying.